This is my project one rationale. I feel that since I did my project through video, that I should complete the rationale in video just to complete the circuit. I'm going to go over the rationale in chronological order, starting with the rhetorical objective, and we'll go from there. First up, did you cover each school of thought individually, and did you speak to the nuances of them as a set? Meaning, did you put them in dialogue with the other? How so? Defend your portrayal of each. I believe that I did cover each individually. I actually first started with the definition of rhetoric and how it was used, and then I went into each school of thought and how they each used rhetoric. I also put them into discussion at the very end of the video. And I feel like my portrayal of them in discussion was, effective in the use that, while I use some humor in their arguing, I feel like that is how they would have gone about it, in today's time, with how they went and how Plato described Gorgias, and I've thought about how Gorgias would respond to that, and how Aristotle would come into this. I tried to make it funny so that it was more entertaining to watch, but that it also got key points across that needed to be discussed. So I think I did a fairly good job there. Let's see, what's the next point? What content from our readings and discussion did you choose to include, and why? I included pretty much everything that was highlighted in the notes. I felt that was, if it was good enough for you to be teaching it, that it was good enough for me to put into my project. I tried to, I might have condensed it a little bit, but I feel like every major point that you emphasized in class, I put into it. Next is, what additional research did you conduct, and how much of it did you include, and why? I included a little bit of additional research. I looked up something on each school of thought, the Platonic, the Aristotelian, and the Sophist, and I used that to round out the points that I feel like you emphasized in class. So that's what I did there. Next was to justify the extent to which your text satisfies your rhetorical objective, to explain thoroughly the Greek trilogy for the audience of novice EWM majors. I feel like I did an excellent job there, because I went through and I explained, the major points of each of the trilogy, and then I went on and put them in discussion with each other, which further honed in on the major points that they were trying to make. Next is audience awareness. How did I tailor my rhetorical objective and make it suitable for the audience? I feel like doing a YouTube video appeals more to students nowadays than just a simple text would. A lot of people don't like reading, pamphlets and stuff like that, but more than 1 million people use YouTube every day, and including most students. So I feel like that was the best way to express what I wanted to express. Let's see. What other ways, if any, did you identify and address your audience? I addressed my audience as myself in the first part of the video, and then I addressed them as each of the three of the Greek trilogy that we were supposed to. So I thought that my way of including them and including the pictures really would have sent home the message that I was trying to articulate. Next was, how did you demonstrate the purpose and value of your text? I feel like I did that fairly well in the very beginning. I included about how it was a required class for EWM, and that it was worth watching this to get a head start on the class. All right, next is were the examples used relevant for your audience? I feel like I did a very good job of, taking and setting my ideas and putting them into a condensed version, for the video. And I also feel like I presented the best possible option when I used the pictures of each of the trilogy statues. I feel like that really sent home that this was actually a person that had these ideas, rather than just something that happened 3,000 years ago. So, all right, the next portion is genre. What genre, text type did you work in, and why? Again, I felt that a YouTube video was the best way to get the point across, because so many people use YouTube nowadays and don't like any additional reading that they have to do. I considered, composing a text type, but as I said earlier, I really didn't feel that would get the point across as well as I could through video. As for what type of identity I adopted while composing this, I adopted myself, and then I adopted each of the three of the trilogy's identities when I put them in dialogue with each other. Next is, how did you attend to the topography, and how was your use of topography rhetorically appropriate? First, I started with each of the three of the trilogy, and used our notes from class, and took out the main points that you emphasized in class, and tried to condense them into that. And then I went and used my external sources for each one, and used them to round out the thoughts of each. I had a little trouble with the white space as it regards to the video. I don't really have the best equipment. I'm doing this on my laptop, so I had a little trouble like combining two parts of the video whenever I went in and did a section. So there's a little jumping from here to there. You see like my head movements, stuff like that differ, but I feel like I did the best I could with the equipment that I had. Next is, overall, how significant of a role did genre play in the creation of this text? I feel like it played a great role. I don't feel that, if I used a text, just a regular like pamphlet or a letter type of thing, that I would have gotten everything across that I wanted to. Like when I made I feel like I made an important point. You can notice through my hand gestures, my head movements, my tone of voice, and you wouldn't be able to get that through just a regular text. So I feel like doing it as a video was the best option, and really the only option to articulate what I wanted to articulate. As for the organizational scheme that I wanted to use, I feel like I did a good job of starting out with what exactly rhetoric is, and then going into each of the three of the trilogy and describing what they are and how they approached rhetoric and how they approached philosophy. And then I went into the dialogue. So I figured that the best way to do it was to start off with the use of rhetoric and where it comes from, and then build into how they used rhetoric, and then build into the arguments that they would have had with each other. I felt that that if I started off with the arguments, then none of it would have made sense to my audience. As for citation, I used a credits at the end of my YouTube video, and then I put links to separate articles and a link and an actual MLA citation to the textbook that we use in the description. In the last part of reflection, I feel like this is completely different from any academic essay just because of how much harder this actually is. Um, I feel like it's a lot harder to get in front of a camera and give your opinion on something than it is to just write something down. It feels much more personal. It feels, it honestly feels a lot harder. So there's that. I learned a great deal. It just reinforced everything that I learned in class. I've always liked ancient Greek history. I've read a few of the books. I like the lore, but I thought that this was just a way to hone in on the important points of each of the trilogy. All right, that's the end of the rationale. I hope that you actually enjoyed my video and that you'll use it in the future. I'm actually quite proud of it. I feel like I had a very good idea. I articulated what I wanted to articulate, and I put it in the best possible genre for students out there right now. There's really no better way to get something across to a student right now than putting it in a YouTube video, just because they simply, I mean, it's the easiest thing to get to. It's a lot harder to get your hands on text. You have to go through, I mean, even if they would have to publish it for the library to get to it. Whereas this, I mean, anybody who is anybody can go through and look up, ancient Greek epistemology, and this will pop up on there. So I feel like I did a very good job on this, and I hope you did too. Thanks.